Hi guys, here is the video lesson on author's voice. And so what we want to be able to do is understand how a writer uses language to create a distinct voice, either for themselves as a narrator or for another character as a narrator, or even for characters within a story, and be able to cite textual evidence for why that is. So when we think about an author, as a writer, each author has their own distinct voice, but they might also create a distinct narrative voice for a specific work. And the decisions that they make as far as how they use the text inform that. So, in this slide presentation, everybody should have their own copy of this. I'm going to give you a second here to answer this quick right. You can pause the video and answer the quick right here. So when you think of pizza, what comes to mind? Write a paragraph describing pizza and showing your attitude toward it. This is gonna kind of inform how you think about a few other samples here, because we know that every person is going to write about this a little bit differently. So what I want you to do here, I'm not looking for a big, long, exciting paragraph, 3 to 5 sentences that describe pizza in a way that shows your reader how you feel about pizza. So go ahead and take a second to do that. Pause the video. Okay, so hopefully you've finished the quick write. Now, we know if several people were asked to describe pizza, you would expect to get a variety of different responses. Even though the subject is the same, each person's going to have a different idea about it. They're going to have a different opinion about pizza, and the way they express themselves based on their personality and their cultural experiences are going to change the way they write about things. So let's talk about the things that influence that. So we know that tone is a big deal. Tone is always a writer's or a speaker's attitude toward their subject, how they feel about it. But we're also going to find that people use these 3 things: diction, the choice of words that they use. For example, if they like something, they're going to use words with more positive connotations. If they don't like something, they're going to use negative connotations. If they're neutral, they're going to pick words that are just specifically descriptive, that don't really influence the audience in a specific way. Syntax is our sentence structure, how we use sentences and order our sentences. Sometimes people have a tendency to use inverted sentences where the object or the description comes first and then they talk about the subject. Some writers use a lot of short, quick, simple sentences and then maybe throw in a long sentence for emphasis. Some writers like to use long descriptions of things. And some of this has to do with the time period in which they write as well as their personality. Someone like Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote really long descriptive sentences that can sometimes be hard to get through because that was the style of writing at the time. And so we kind of see those things. And then imagery, the type of imagery that people use to describe things, what they want to describe, sometimes the cliches or allusions that they use. We can sometimes tell where a person is from based on the types of idiomatic expressions that they use, that kind of thing. So these all combine to make a writer's voice or a speaker's voice unique. Now remember, when we say the writer's voice, sometimes they are creating a voice for a character, a narrator who is a character in the story, or a persona. It's kind of like a YouTuber. Some YouTubers are just themselves, but a little bit more professional. And some YouTubers we know kind of cultivate a persona. We know they're not like that in real life, really, but they've created a voice for themselves that they know their audience will appeal to a specific type of audience that they want. Writers are the same way. So now we have this person's description of pizza. We want to think about what inferences we can draw about the speaker based on their voice. And remember, we want to look at word choice, the types of sentences they use. So I'm going to read through this and then we're going to look at the chart and kind of talk our way through this one. Eating pizza is rather like embarking on a transcontinental excursion. You embark on the journey without being quite certain of what you will encounter. A well-made pizza contains the aromatic essence of fresh basil, oregano, and garlic that beckon invitingly. Once you bite into a perfectly sliced piece of pizza, your taste buds awaken and celebrate. When properly prepared, pizza is an extraordinary culinary creation. So let's talk about the speaker first, what inferences we can make about the speaker, what their age is, their social status, the things that they like. And I think that we can agree that this person is probably an adult, 30s or 40s. They seem, that kind of age bracket. They're definitely educated based on the type of language that they use. And we might say that there's some type of writer or vlogger that likes to talk about food. And maybe also travel. They're definitely someone who has traveled a lot because they use traveling as an analogy for eating pizza. They talk specifically about aroma, about using fresh herbs and specific herbs, extraordinary culinary creation. So, all of these things might make us infer that this person talks about food a lot in some type of way, either for a hobby or professionally. So then we go to diction and the word choices the speaker makes. Is it formal language, kind of highbrow stuff, or is it real casual and informal? And you want to put a couple examples here of why you chose, your choice here. Do they use words that have positive connotations or negative connotations, or just the facts? For syntax, we want to look back and see, do they use short sentences, long sentences? Are the sentences very simple, or are they more complex with description? And in this case, we can definitely see we have a lot of prepositional phrases that are added into the sentence for specificity and elaboration. So these are kind of complicated sentences that we can talk about here for this guy. He wants his readers to come to a very specific conclusion about it, and he's using his sentences to kind of walk you through that. What kind of imagery, specific sensory details, what kind of, does the speaker appeal to the look of something, to the smell, to the taste? And we definitely can see that this speaker uses imagery to appeal to our sense of smell and our sense of taste. And you want to put a couple examples in there. And some of these examples might go in multiple boxes, and that's fine. This is a very short piece. And then tone. What can you conclude about the speaker's attitude toward the subject? And we'll just go with, you can just put, positive or negative. There might be a qualification, maybe they only like certain type of pizza. And we'll definitely say that this guy really loves pizza. They are a huge fan of pizza. And they don't even specify a certain kind, just pizza itself is a thing that they love. So let's go on to speaker 2, and we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to read this. You can pause it. You can go to the speaker 2 chart and work out the chart. We'll do it for 3 and 4. And after you filled out the chart, you want to come here where it says inference about the speaker, and just write one sentence. The speaker is probably, and just make a generalization about what you think the speaker is like. Speaker number 2. It's yummy. I like it when the cheese is really gooey. My mom makes it for dinner on the weekends. When it's too hot, I have to wait for it to cool. Mom says if I don't wait, I will burn my tongue. I like the way pizza smells. When I smell pizza cooking, it always makes me want to eat it right up. All right, so take a minute to make an inference about the speaker, and then fill in your chart here, and we'll go to speaker 3. As long as not one speck of gross, disgusting animal flesh comes anywhere near my pizza, I can eat it. I prefer pizza with mushrooms, tomatoes, and spinach. Goat cheese is especially nice too. A thin whole wheat crust topped with imported cheese and organic vegetables makes a satisfying meal. All right, so make your inference about the speaker, fill in your chart here. This is definitely one where your tone is going to need some qualifications. This speaker isn't an all or nothing speaker, so make sure you note that. All right, and speaker 4. Pizza is like one of the basic food groups, right? I mean, dude, who doesn't eat pizza? Me and my friends order it like every day. We usually get pepperoni, and it's great when they're like covering the whole top. Dude, hot steamy pizza dripping with cheese and loaded with pepperoni is awesome. All right, so with speaker 4, make your inference. Go ahead and fill out the chart. Make sure that you copy and paste evidence into here to let me know why you've made those choices. So then the last section of this is this excerpt from Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. And I know some of you may have read this for summer reading. It was one of the choices. So when you read this selection, this excerpt is from chapter 1. When you read this excerpt and answer the questions, you need to focus on just this excerpt. I know that some of the questions will tempt you into using what you know from the rest of the book, but avoid it. Just focus on what you can support from this section of the text, the only what this part of the text reveals. So we have this section selection here, and there's just these 4 questions. They're not very long. This is just, what do you get out of the text? What does the voice of this narrator seem to be? And you're really just kind of dealing with the fact that, Laurie Halse Anderson is an adult woman, but the narrator obviously isn't. So what are the choices that she makes to create this voice for a narrator who's a very different age group than herself? And then, I just want you to pick 4 examples and put them here, just things that really stood out to you. And just tell me real briefly, it doesn't have to be a complete sentence, why you chose that example. Like, why did that phrase or sentence really stand out to you as showing you who the narrator is as a character? And so that is it for that assignment. And then you are good to go with Author's Voice. And feel free to send me a remind if you have any questions, or if there's anything that comes up that you don't understand or you want clarification on, and I'll be happy to help.